Championship weekend was off the charts, and Indiana star quarterback Fernando Mendoza had the biggest and best moment of the week.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Ty Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network. In 2019, national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. Time to talk all things quarterbacks. QB of the week. Which quarterback had the best performance of conference championship weekend? Those stock rising quarterback performances, the stock falling quarterback performances. But before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Keith, I go to the guy that they call HeisMendoza. Fernando Mendoza.
I've never heard that one before.
Yes, that's what they say over there in Indiana now. They've been saying for a couple months or a couple weeks. It feels like I've been hearing it during games and hear him talk about it in interviews. They call him HeisMendoza. Fernando Mendoza versus Ohio State completed 65% of his passes, 222 yards passing, and one passing touchdown. Keith, and he's my QB of the week, man. This was a game where, and we both can be honest about it. We talked about it off air. I was like, man, I don't know if Indiana matches up talent for talent when you look at Cardinal Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Bo Jackson Jr. out there looking, like his dad, at times this season as a true freshman, the offensive line, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, whatever. Like I didn't trust and believe that, man, this team is going to be able to stick with them. And they not only did they stick with them, they ended up beating them by 3. Both defenses played lights out, but it was the clutch moments, Keith. And this is something that Fernando has done all season. The clutch throws. When his team needs to move the ball, he can move the ball in chunks. And that's the crazy thing. That's what is. I think I said this before, Keith. I might have said it on here or just off air talking to you. That offense makes his eval a little tricky because it's like when you let him just air it out, like you see, like he looks like an NFL quarterback, like a franchise-leading quarterback, because he makes those throws that we see big-time quarterbacks make on Sundays, man. Outstanding clutch moments, big-time moments, throw after throw. Charlie Becker, Elijah Surratt, whatever the case may have been. And then also making plays out of structure with his legs, too. Throwing on the run. Keep that first hit on the first drive where he got just rocked. I was like, well, that might be it. But hey, man, shout out to Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, it was one of those hits, DP, where you're like, well, that's the end of this evaluation, right? Because, I mean, that's why we cut these games on, obviously, to watch good football. But it's the evaluation part of it, right? Like, I'm excited to see this prospect versus this prospect or this prospect in this particular situation. And the game or the situation for me was Fernando Mendoza with inferior talent on his team going against superior talent against Ohio State, and how does he handle that? And we talked about it, right? Because this would be like the NFL. 9 times out of 10, you're going to the Jets, the Browns, the Raiders, right? To where week in and week out, you're probably not going to have a great team, and you're going to have to go against a team that's better than your team, right? That's why you're getting picked that high, because the team is not that good. So I was impressed, DP. I was impressed because in evaluation, I always talk about the neck up. I talk about the toughness. I talk about the grit. Yeah. People always ask me about your time around Joe Burrow, and I'm like, I keep telling you, like, our backup quarterback had a stronger arm than him. So, like, I keep talking about arm strength, but our backup quarterback had a stronger arm than Joe Burrow, right? Mm-hmm. But what Joe Burrow had was toughness and moxie, and a certain level of grit. And if you even want to, and I'm not comparing him to Joe Burrow, but the toughness part of it. If you remember that the end of that 2018 season for us, when Joe Burrow and we played against UCF in the Fiesta Bowl, and remember he had that, it was elite. I think it was elite. I can't remember if they threw the flag on it or not, and he got hit under the chin and he walked off bleeding. And it was like, that was the birth of Joe Burrow, right? Mm-hmm. Because after that was the 2019 season, and that was a wrap, right? But in that game, he came back in, played, got stitched up, and rocked and rolled. So I look at it, DP, and I say with Fernando, Mendoza, I mean, there's a big conversation needs to be had because I feel like consensus number one overall pick, right? But there's certain levels and thresholds to guys being like, I feel like some guys are put in the, oh, like this guy can lead a franchise number one overall pick,
Mhm.
or hey, he's just the best quarterback in his class and X
Yeah.
team needs a quarterback. So how talented do you feel as though he is when you look at this complete body of work now that we've seen this season?
Man, Keith, I think I've been talking about him since the summer. I'll never forget the look you gave me when I said Fernando Mendoza was my QB1 off of
Oh,
summer
did
scout.
I? And I'll jump back in, DP. I've probably been one of the slowest people
Yeah,
to get on the Fernando Mendoza bandwagon. And I have my reasons why.
yeah.
Some of them just head scratching, like the post game the
Yeah.
post game interviews, a
He
little
needs
head
media
scratching.
training. He needs
Yeah,
he needs media training.
he needs media training. And I'm like, you know what? If I didn't just see you get blown up, take a hit stick to the face, and then I might be out, DP. I might be out. But I think that's a great way to put it, is that he needs media
Needs media.
training. But listen, in the game, and I think we talk about leadership, DP, there are different ways to go about it. And when you have a young man, because no matter what, and there's a lot I want to say, and I'm gonna go through it and flush it out. Because when you're an NFL talent evaluator, when you're evaluating these kids, period, right, you want to know what's their character, right? And
Yeah.
the threshold starts for quarterbacks is, can they lead a franchise and lead a locker room, right? And we talked about the media training and things like that, because obviously you're going to be the rah-rah guy, you're going to be the
Mhm.
guy leading the chants, you're going to be the guy getting everybody fired up, but maybe not necessarily so. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
have to be the rah-rah guy in a certain capacity, because when you do things like what he did on Saturday, where you, like I said, take a hit stick to the jaw and then still get up and lead your team to a win, you don't have to tell them that you're tough, right? They know you're
No.
tough already, right? And so he can be a young man that allows his play to speak for itself, but he has to have that part to him as far
Yeah.
as toughness in the game. And I seen, and I said, okay, you know what? This is something I could finally buy into. And I think of another quarterback who's not a big rah-rah guy, is Justin Herbert, right? Like it was
Yeah.
like a lot of people had conversations about, I don't know about his character, not character in the sense of being a bad character person, but character
Football character.
to gel with the guys and be one of the guys. So but I like I said, I was impressed, man, because it's a different dichotomy
Yeah.
with him, right? And like you said, the media training and the awkwardness and things like that may rub people the wrong way. But it's one of those things where you're like, okay, is he hosting a Today Show or is he playing football? Right? Like you have to ask yourself that, right? Like,
Yeah.
probably wouldn't put him on a Today Show, but
No.
but he can play football. So I
Yeah.
think that's part of it.
Yeah, you could tell he's passionate. He's an emotional player, and it's crazy because like when you're watching him in the midst of the battle, he's even keel. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's got ice water in his veins. He's just sitting back there and he sees it. Oh, I'm ripping this throat, and he's confident. And then you get him in the post game and he's just losing his mind. You're like, what? Hey, boy, wait, time out. Where did this come from,
Yeah.
Fernando? Like,
And then,
you know what I mean?
and you can tell, because even in a post game interview, I don't know if you felt like it switched for him,
Yeah,
even like he came on extremely emotional. And then I think
yeah.
the reporter hopped in and said something. And I think he was able to gather himself.
He's
And then he
gathered.
came
Yeah.
back a little bit more reserved. Like, he
Yes.
kind of got
He's trying to find
composed.
that balance, man. He's trying to
Yeah.
find that balance. But I would say this, Keith, to answer your question. I do think that he is a guy that you can attach your franchise to, right? Because
Mhm.
again, like, as we talked about, I love tools. And I mean, he's got good tools and everything too. But when you are in these big time moments, and that's the fourth game winning drive that he's orchestrated this year, right? You think about, what was it? Iowa on the road,
Penn State.
Oregon, Penn State, and then the Big Ten championship game against the Monstars, that is Ohio State net defense, to do what he was able to do, to make the throws, the reads, the decisions, and things of that nature. Like, yes, that's because, and I think we talked about it last week. We like seeing guys that are not around. No, we like Elijah Surratt, we like Omar Cooper, Charlie Becker, but he's not throwing to first, like, top 10, top 15 picks. He's
Mhm.
not handing the ball off to a future, like, first round running back. You know what I mean? Like, to be completely honest, some of the guys on his teams are castaways in a sense. You know, Roman Hemby coming from Maryland. I forget where Kalen Black came from.
Yeah, I think they have a safety from Navy, right? Like
Yeah,
something like that.
Yes. I think that was the guy that got the interception. He got like 6 on the season. So, like, that was a ragtag bunch. I would love, like, yeah, you think about him going to the Jets and Adnan Mitchell, John Mechie, Garrett Wilson. I'm like, you know what? I feel pretty good about this. If I'm a Jets fan, now the Jets have the 7th pick in the draft, you're probably not getting Fernando Mendoza.
Because now they're winning. Now they're winning,
yeah.
DP.
Now you win.
They winning themselves up the draft order. But DP, let's do this, man. I'm all for this. So I'm going to go dealer's choice on this, right? We can continue this Fernando Mendoza conversation. But you know what we always do, man? We open the conversation up to more stock rising quarterbacks. So stay tuned, man. We're going to continue this Fernando Mendoza conversation, and we'll transition into talking about more quarterbacks that elevated this draft stock.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the games start to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover, and FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. And in the NFL draft moment, the NFL draft season is getting ready to kickstart. You can go to FanDuel right now and bet on who will be the number 1 overall pick for the 2026 NFL draft. And the betting odds favorite is Indiana star quarterback Fernando Mendoza himself. So if you want to get in on the action, you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com today and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Keith, I like the fact that you said continue that conversation because I wanted to, it was so much to unpack with Mendoza. I did want to continue that conversation. When you look at the draft order right now, so like the teams that need quarterbacks, right? You think about Arizona, Jets, heck, Minnesota. You know what I mean? If you're the Vikings, you might need a quarterback as well.
Man, that's tough.
It's tough, right? Mendoza, do you feel like teams that need a quarterback, is this a guy you would trade up for if you're one of these teams that say, you know what, I need a guy that can come in and right the ship?
That's why I asked you the question in the last segment, right? Because that's where you're talking about mortgaging the future, which means you have to be all in on this guy. Like this isn't a quarterback that fell to you, right? And we've had instances of that. And I guess to give our listeners more context of like, what are you guys saying, right? And what I'm saying is that if you remember certain drafts, right, where EJ Manuel was a first round pick, but he, the Bills took him when they took him, right? Jake Locker went to the Titans, but they took him when they took him, right? The Blaine Gabberts, the Blake Bortles, like there are different conversations around those guys versus the Caleb Williams, the Bryce Youngs, the Trevor Lawrences, right? Like, oh man, you have to go get this guy, right? And if you're the Tennessee Titans, let's say the Tennessee Titans run the gamut as far as continuing to lose, right? If they run the gamut of losing and they hold the number 1 overall pick, do you do the same thing that the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers did, right? Where the Panthers said, man, we have to get our hands on Bryce Young. He's going to change our franchise. And so I wanted to put that in context because I believe that's what you're asking me, right? Like, do you have to trade up to go get this guy? DP, I'll say this. Previous of them in October, I would have said no.
No, yeah.
But right now, I'm leaning yes. There may be one more box that I want to see him right against another big-time opponent. And the reason, and I know listeners are going to be like, Keith, okay, why are you still so hesitant? I just want to see a little bit more. And the Ohio State game meant a whole lot to me, right? Like I was you know what? This might be a push your chips in the middle of the table thing. I just want to see him potentially go up against a Texas A&M or another team and see how that looks overall. So I'm leaning towards yes to answer your question. I know that was a long answer, but I'm leaning towards yes. I think if you're the Jets, the Cardinals, any of those franchises, you're saying, you know what, let's take a swing because we talked about it last segment. Man, he's being a dragon slayer. And the reason I said in October, because we did a show and it might have been our Monday show. And I was like, we went over the schedule, right? And I was like, well, DP, I mean, they have, this team coming up. They have this team coming up. We'll see. And revisionist history, looking back on it, he aced the test, DP. Indiana is one of the only undefeated teams, and not the only undefeated team, maybe.
I think it might be. I think it was only them and Ohio State left.
Yeah, I think it was them and Ohio State left, and they're a last man standing. And they went through Penn State, they went through Iowa, they went through Oregon. You know, like they went through Ohio State. They went through the best teams in the Big Ten, right? Like it wound up playing out like that. That they were able to play the best teams in the Big Ten and win football games. So I look at Fernando Mendoza and I'm like, you know what? He's not scared, and that's what I like in my quarterbacks. So
no, and I love the answer because it's well thought out, and like you said, you gave a lot of context to, hey, because again, like you said, it's different. Of hey, this is the best quarterback in this class. We need the guy. Let's just go get a guy. Let's
for
go
example,
trade up and get him.
Another guy, Kenny Pickett, right? Like he was a first round quarterback, but nobody moved up to get him. It was just like, oh, the Steelers sitting there was like, yeah, I guess we do need a quarterback. Let's take him, right? Like there's a difference between, or then the Steelers having to leverage 2-3 first round picks to try to move up into the top 5 to get a guy. I just think there's a difference in it.
No, absolutely. I think there definitely is a difference, and I agree with you. And I mean, you know, I'm all in. I've been all in. I never really wavered on him. I just stood pat. I'm like, listen, I believed in. I watched a guy at Cal with a bad offensive line, receivers that nobody knows. You know what I mean? Running back was hurt. And I watched him against Auburn, and that was a game that really sold me. It was like going up against the SEC defense, and they're getting pressure. You know what I mean? Blitzing linebackers, Keldrick Falk getting through the line. They were hitting him, and like for him to take same thing he's done all season. He will stand in. This isn't he's not built like Will Levis. Like Will Levis looked like somebody that could cosplay in a Avengers movie. You know what I mean? Like 6'4", 240, 230. He's not built like A-Rich and Will Levis and with the muscled up frame and all that. But he's so much tougher in the pocket and more durable than those guys too. To be completely honest, because he's taking head-on hits in the ribs, in the chest, in the shoulder. It was funny because when he took the hit and they took him to the sideline, I was like, oh man, like that might be it. That shoulder might be bummed. And then, like he still got his helmet on, and he's looking at them like, man, if y'all don't let me back in this game, like what? He looked out there, saw his brother taking a snap, and you could tell in his mind, it's like, no disrespect, bro, but you got to come about this game. I need to get back in there. Like he was not about to sit on the sideline long. And like when he walked back out there, and it's like, okay, no, he's good. And the fact of his ability to I'm gonna tell you what it is, Keith. Like there's a phrase in sports that I absolutely hate. Because it's used so in the lazy sense. Oh, he makes guys better. No, because if you can't catch the ball, just because I throw it accurately don't mean you're gonna catch the ball, right? Like you know what I mean? Like I can have a great point guard. Like CP3 is one of the best point guards of all time. Asar Thompson, who's our small forward on the Pistons, can't shoot threes. Just because CP3 hits him in the corner doesn't mean that three going in. He doesn't make him better, but what he does is elevate the team in a sense. And to watch him elevate that offense when they need him to most is big. And I get it. He's such a wacky character. Like I get it, man. I understand it, guys. It's hard to buy in when you see that type of post-game press conference or just that raw emotion. He can't control it, right? I get that. But, man, I'm not going to let that force me to miss out on the quarterback. That's why I said, like, yeah, if I'm the Jets, I'm on – like, you got 3 first-round picks in 2027. Oh, yeah, whoever got the first overall – Tennessee, all right, cool. You get this first-round pick. You get that one of them 2026. You're not getting 2 or 3 of them. You're getting one for 2027. We're going to swap this 2026. I'll give you a second, whatever. I'll find the package. Let me go up because if you believe in, hey, I got my number 1 in Garrett Wilson. I love what we're seeing from Adonai Mitchell and the flashes. We know we have like John Mechie, I think, is the future of their slot receiver position. Mason Taylor being a solid, just steady Eddie tight end, re-sign Breece Hall, whatever you want to do. This offense could be much improved with consistent quarterback play. Or if you're the Arizona Cardinals, we hadn't seen the true version of Marvin Harrison until Kyler Murray got hurt, which is unfortunate.
Jacoby Brissett,
You got Jacoby Brissett in there unlocking Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. If I'm Kyler Murray, I'm like, yo, I got to get right. Like, because this makes me look terrible. Because it does. You know what I mean? From a quarterback standpoint. So if one of those teams, Keith, says, you know what? Let's go up there and get Mendoza. I think Mendoza throwing the back shoulder fade to a Marvin Harrison Jr., if you say, hey, Marvin Harrison doesn't separate with the instantaneous burst and acceleration of a Malik Neighbors, duh. Like, they're two different athletes, right? But a guy like that with the body control, hands, ball skills, a guy like that is never really covered if you know how to put the ball where he can go make a play on it.
Yep.
And Mendoza has proven I can do that with an Elijah Surratt. Because at the end of the day, as much as we like those guys, he's not throwing the world beaters. He's not on the team filled with world beaters.
Mm-hmm.
And they just beat the world beaters. Like, you know what I mean? So I think, for me, it's just I look at Mendoza, I'm definitely moving up. Like, I listen, I'm getting the PR training, media training, all through OTAs. Like, we are going through the whole media playbook, brother. We're going to keep these answers short and sweet. Like, we are going to be as PR as possible. But I do think, Keith, also why I think he'll fit in the NFL locker rooms, he's just unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
Like, didn't know he could walk in and be fake.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking about, right? Because I was thinking about the Jets, and I'm gonna get this point out real quick because I know we have to transition. Yeah. I was thinking about the New York Jets, right? And then how everybody said that Zach Wilson didn't fit, right? Like it was a culture non-fit for him. And I thought about Fernando Mendoza, right? And your first thing is like, right? Like that may be a little crazy, like the New York media, right? With that combination. But I thought about your point that you just made. Like, he probably wouldn't care, right? Like, this is a guy, I believe there's rumors that, they say that he doesn't have a social media, right? Like, he has a LinkedIn profile. Like, he doesn't care enough, right? Like, he's oblivious to anything negative and could be positive. And that might be exactly what the New York Jets franchise needs, because they are some of the most, I'm about to make up a word, unpositive people, right? Non-positive people that you can meet. They look for the wrong, right? So
yes.
I'm right there with you on that. But DP, let's do this, man. We talked Fernando Mendoza. I thought it was a really good conversation. I'm not going to even say we're going to talk stock fallers. We're going to talk Ty Simpson. We're going to talk Ty Simpson, and we're going to do that coming up next.
There's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, or even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required. $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees. Initial plan term only. Greater than 35 gigs may slow down when network is busy. Compatible or capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. Stock that has fallen is none other than Ty Simpson. Keith, you talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about it again. And I wanted to have this conversation, Keith. Where are you with Ty Simpson as a draft prospect? Because, of course, we haven't gone through the full season of film, and because we're reacting right now, right? We're just kind of just natural reaction to the last month of games, right? Since Oklahoma, since Brent Venables, he hasn't looked the same. Where are you on with Ty Simpson? Is this a guy that, hey, he's like, yo, yes, the last month has been bad or been rough, but if you've landed him in the right place in the NFL draft, I'm still fine with him being a first-round pick.
Yeah, so I believe he's still a first-round pick. I think he can still go in the first round. I think he's a first-round talent because of what we've seen early on. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe that Fernando Mendoza has taken the throne. As QB1, right? But Fernando, for him, it's about Ty Simpson, I'm sorry. It's about situation. And we have to, and I said this on yesterday's podcast, it kind of reminds me of last year, right? And everybody asked me, like, okay, why do you kind of like still kind of like Jalen Milroe, right? And I was like, because I'm watching tight ends not catch the football, right? I'm watching them throw the football to them, they're hitting them in the face mask and going on the ground, right? And not that I thought Jalen Milroe was a perfect prospect. I didn't think that either, but watching the game, I was able to assign blame appropriately, right? Like,
Okay.
and that's where you have to work through and go through these things. And we've talked about it consistently with Alabama. Like this, like long are the days and gone are the days of the having Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, and Devontae Smith all on the same football team, right? Right, like
It's
lining up.
over.
Yeah, that like that. That's long of the days, or they're doing it. I'll include a prospect, Jeremy Bernard, right? Because
Mhm.
he's probably their go-to wide receiver. He's probably their
Yeah.
best wide receiver. I
Mhm.
don't see Jeremy Bernard in the light of an NFL wide receiver one. I,
No,
I
no.
I see him more as a wide
3?
receiver two and maybe a three in certain situations, right? Like if he
Mhm.
goes to the Bengals, he's wide receiver three. If he goes
Yeah.
to the Minnesota Vikings, he's probably wide receiver three behind Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson and Jordan Addison, right?
Jordan Addison.
Let's because those were obvious. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Jackson Smith
Mhm.
and Jigba, he's behind him. Older Cooper Cup, he's probably still wide receiver three and having a battle with the
All
Torrey
right, wow,
Horton
yeah.
Jr.
Torrey Horton, yeah. I was about to say
So,
Torrey Horton.
like just putting everything in the context, DP, the Dallas Cowboys, right? He's definitely behind George Pickens and CD Lamb.
Oh,
So,
100%.
the reason I'm still in on Ty Simpson is because I fully understand the Alabama situation. And I
Yeah.
think Jalen Murray last year and then him this year are having to play with a different deck of cards than what we've seen the Tua Tagovailoas, the Mac Jones of
Bryce
the
Young,
world.
yeah.
Yeah, to where these guys were throwing 45 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, right? So I'm still in on Ty Simpson. I think that, like you said, that the playbook may be out for him and also the Alabama offense because even I looked at these past two games, DP, uh, against Auburn. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns, right? But
Mhm.
he had 50% completion percentage. He set at 54% completion percentage. The Georgia game was 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They didn't get much of anything going ever. And he was under 50% completion percentage at 48.7%. And then the Eastern Illinois game, he threw 2 interceptions against
2
Eastern
interceptions.
Illinois. So I think he's a guy, and I hate to put it in this spot because you don't want to do this, right? But how we felt about the JJ McCarthy's of the world, that we was like, man, if you go to a good situation, I think we could get good quarterback play. Now, don't
Yeah.
take the JJ McCarthy comp right now.
No, no,
Okay?
no, no.
Don't take it right now. But there are certain quarterbacks that we say, you know what, in a good situation, you can thrive and play good football.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I'm not gonna overreact to and kind of lose my mind. I'm not gonna have him as like, oh
Would
yeah, I
you
had him as
Would
yeah.
you make a campaign for him to come back to college? Like, how do you feel about that? Because it's a discussion, right? Like, I know people
Yeah.
have
Oh yeah.
discussed it.
It's definitely. I saw a lot of that Saturday night. I saw a lot of that Saturday night. They were like, "Hey, he needs to go back," and I'm like, and I tweeted out, "This is a myth. This is a myth, guys. That you go back and you're going to improve because it's too many variables in college football for quarterbacks to go back to. Unless if you're Dante Moore, yeah, you can go back to Oregon. Those weapons ain't leaving. They got the money, they got the coach, they got the program. They're not leaving. DeCarrion Moore was a freshman. He's going to be there next year, right?
Mhm.
Like Sadiq is probably gone, but maybe Garrett Bryant Jr. I don't know his designation. I don't know if he's a senior or whatever. But let's say he's not, a senior. He's a junior. He could come back. Like majority of the receiver core could come back if I'm Dante Moore. Sure, I don't mind that, right? But for Ty Simpson, no, you do not go back to Alabama,
Mhm.
because yeah, okay, Jeremy Bernard's going to the league, and you got Ryan Williams who has forgotten how to catch. So it's like, what they don't have a tight end worth anything that
Mhm.
we are accustomed to seeing. They can't run the ball. Like, and it's just like, what is happening? You're gonna lose Caden Proctor, who's going to the
Mhm.
league, right? Like, you're gonna lose Parker Brailsford, the center.
Yeah, he's going to the
Yeah,
NFL.
yeah. Like I think it's such a myth because it's like, okay, now you got to search for the perfect spot. What's the team that has the weapons, the coaching, the O-line, and the system that I mesh with? Well, guess what? You're not the only one jumping in the portal. Like, you know what I mean? Lenore Sellers is rumored to be jumping in the portal, right? Like, I think DJ Lagway should be safe at Florida, but what if he jumps in the portal? Now
Mhm.
you're out here fighting in free agency for premium landing spots in college football. I don't think he should go back. I do think what he should do is play in their games that they have remaining and then go to the Senior Bowl, right? Like at the end of the day, like I need to rectify my last image on the field is not going to be this Georgia game. It's not going to be the last couple of weeks you've seen me. I think he still should go to the draft because Keith, we know how quickly narrative shifts. He get the mobile. He's lighting it up. He looks every bit of an NFL quarterback. Now people are like, man, I think I'm back in on Ty Simpson. Now he go to the combine.
Jackson Dart wasn't a first-round pick until the Senior Bowl. Like that's when
and he didn't even do anything that wowed anybody.
No, he didn't do anything. I know me and you were looking at each other like,
what is going on?
Missing.
Like, what did he do out here that was so spectacular? No, go to Mobile, do your thing in Mobile. Then let's say he gets to the combine and he throws. Keith, he goes out there, shows he's going to compete. He answers all the questions. Now, by the time we get to the draft, people are like, man, I like Ty. So I think you said this. It was like people start saying, I like the person, you know what I mean? And stuff like that is the narrative. Like, you know what? He competed. He's got moxie, all these buzzwords. And it's like, oh, you know what? I'm drafting them round one. I still draft them round one.
Yeah, and so I'll even, I guess, add the floor to that, right? Conversation. If he feels as though he can go be a top 50 pick, like if you can fall into the Tyler Shuck range, right? And you can go in the top 10, 15 picks in the second round, I think it's still worth going because we know how this starts to flip on itself is that when the NFL feels like they have too much information on you, then your stock plummets also, right? Like, and we've seen guys go to, decide to come back one more year, and then that one more year is not great for their draft stock at all.
I'll throw this in there too before we close the show out. People sitting there want to be down on him right now, and then the moment he lands with the Los Angeles Rams, and he's Sean McVay's heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, he gets to sit another year, learn from a Hall of Fame coach and quarterback, and then he walks into that offense with all those weapons they have. Then the narrative shifts drastically because people feel totally different because he's in a great situation.
Yeah, no, that's an intriguing draft situation right there. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast all by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show is Watch the Tape Wednesday. We're going to take 3 players, watch the tape, and tell you what we saw from Conference Championship Weekend. So come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.